So for 40 minutes, we will talk about the process. So basically, the process is very important because without any process, even a single pen cannot develop, right? So in the end, UI UX is a very big and large term nowadays. Even it's from the beginning of when the mankind has born, right? But nowadays it's in a very trendy language that everybody aware about the UI UX. So let me start my sharing my screen and start from there. So I created a very quick presentation for you guys where I will talk about the process as well as I will also give you the glimpse of the work which I have done and where on which point we need to focus on whenever we are discussing about the UX with your students. So let's start from here. So as everyone know that UX is very important and UX is everywhere. So this is what I say that why the UX process is more important. So even UX is in this workshop as well. Like you guys are taking this workshop and the way I'm explaining the whole workshop and the whole presentation is very important and this will create the experience towards me and you. So that is also an experience, so if I you will not learn from this workshop, it means that there is no UX in that particular workshop. So UX is everywhere, so either from drinking a tea from the cup or even operating the any OS or the web or mobile application. So what I said that okay, without a solid UX design process, uh, you have a lower chance to creating a product with good UX. So a well-defined and well-executed UX process, on the other hand, make it possible to craft amazing user experiences for users. So the crux of this whole process is that we have to think like a user. So not just for like a designer or a UX designer or UI designer, but you have to put your feet in a user shoes. That is very important actually. So for that, I divide this particular process in two criteria. So the criteria one is lean UX process. So actually, you guys also heard about the agile UX process, but there are little difference, and I'm personally following the lean UX process. The design difference in between agile and lean is very simple. So let me explain you what is the very thin layer in between lean UX and the agile UX. So lean UX focuses on the outcomes rather than deliverables. So it means agile. What agile say? Agile saying that okay, you have to go with this particular circle, like review, test, build, and design. So let's suppose, and actually, agile UX process is developed for the engineering, like for the development, and in this, when the design delivered to the developer, this process actually very useful for them because when we say that okay, this with this much time we will take for the development, this we have to divide the whole product into the sprints. So like sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3. So sprint is actually a weekly sprint. So normally a IT company work 5 days in a week. So 5 day work, like in 5 day what type of task we will deliver with proper testing. So testing over here is like software testing, not the usability testing. So in the lean UX, why it's my favorite? Let's suppose I created the wireframe, then the UI, and then the front end development. And now the development has been started using by either .NET or PHP language or any other language. But let's suppose there is a button change. There is a button change in color. So I don't need to follow. Don't need to create the mockup again. What I have to do. I have to simply do that particular change in my HTML version and deliver it to my developer. So this is called lean process. Where it's required, you have to just go back on that particular step and deliver the task. So that and lean UX process is more faster than agile. So because you don't need to complete the whole circle. So these two processes are very important nowadays, and Now we talk about the whole UX process. Even you guys already know these processes, these steps: research, empathize, create, test, develop. I don't need to explain again in the detail, but what I will do, I will add some tips and tricks over there like from a development company perspective. So being a industrial designer, so what type of tips and tricks they do so that the whole product can be delivered on time, following this whole UX process. So as you say that, okay, over here it's written like user experience process is the process of the enhancing user satisfaction with the product by improving the usability, which is very important, accessibility, and the pleasure provided in the interaction with the product. So this is the statement from the Wikipedia. Everybody know Wikipedia nowadays. So in this whole UX presentation, I will talk about the usability, accessibility, these two very important parameters actually. So let's talk about the research first. So in the research, normally where it's written the stakeholders, it means the team of I'm talking about the team, like, okay, during the research, what type of team we build. So like obviously product owner is very important, then design team and the business guy. So during for the research, normally we go, personally I go with the qualitative, because I normally not do user research more than 15 users, right? Because sometimes client budget strain is very important. So we have to suggest them the budget, and regarding, we normally said, okay, 5 to 10 user is enough in that particular demographic, because what we suggest in the research, okay, this is the demographic. Sometimes my client said, okay, we have to test we have to do the user research in the North India, and some clients say that we have to do the user research in the pan India. So then budget increase accordingly or decrease accordingly. So normally in my company I'd never do the servicing, because this is very hectic and need a lot of like big teams to do to that particular survey. And some other companies are available for the survey, which they are using some kind of tools. Those tools have their big they have big mass of the database. They send the survey form and then they collect the data. So normally in my company, personally, I recommend the qualitative research. And next, after the research, this is what I do, like empathy mapping. So to be a great designer, you need to look a little deeper into how people think and act. So in the empathy mapping, I defined it, okay, what people say, what business owner thinking, right, and what the product is about. So like empathy mapping over here, I'm giving a example of buying a TV. So with this proper empathy mapping, personally I create this particular persona. The persona is very important. So without creating a persona, you cannot start wireframe or the UI design, because at least we should know that, okay, to whom we are developing this whole product. So normally my client said, what is persona? So we have to explain this persona thinking in a detailed version, so that we can tell the importance of the persona, and we can give the budget accordingly. So next thing is UX competitive analysis. This is very important. I mark it over here important, because you guys already know research and empathy mapping, but UX competitive analysis have three main components: understand market competition, learn about your domain, get inspiration and ideas from your competitors. And in India, whenever because I have experience with Chitkara internship students. So normally they because in India, most of the IT company, almost 85%, they are more focusing on the international projects, like from US, Canada or Europe. So every time you cannot go there, as a being a UX designer, and can do the market analysis over there and user research over there. Even I personally recommend to my client, I send them questionnaire and tell them that, okay, this is our user and you have to ask these particular questions in your circle, so that we can get some insights before start the work on the wireframe. So they follow that particular instruction. They give me very good data through the survey forms, and After that, I start the work on the on the wireframing. Why it's important? Because in from India, we are delivering the product, and we are doing a remote job over here. Client even never met with us, and they only met with on Google Hangout or the Skype, So this is very important thing. So what I do in the competitive analysis, let me explain you. So keep an eye on the latest UI trends, design principles, and your existing user experience guidelines. While doing research, start thinking about possible layouts and options to provide the desired experience. I will give you example. So this is the example of UX analysis. So what is the outcome of it? A bunch of idea and material on which you can build your actual design work. So this is the example of like how to upload a file from local system to cloud. So there are different screens I put on that particular kind of a mood board for related to the upload a file. So in another example, I will show you like, okay, this is the one of the document I would like to share with you. So this is the product. I'm working on this particular product for almost 8 years. What this product do, with this particular product, a patient can book an appointment in all over the US. So this is kind of related to teledentistry industry, or you can say telemedicine. So I'm working on this product from last 8 years, and I'm the lead UX designer for this particular product. Why I'm sharing this particular thing? Because this product has been developed more than 8 million appointments in the COVID period. So this is a proper a SaaS application which is not even providing the teledentistry, but also managing the dental clinic as well through the digitally. So when I started work on it, I created a research document. So this is the research document example. I will show you 2-3 research document examples so that you can have a great insight over there. So where it is, let me show you. Normally I use Dropbox for the file sharing. So this was a document where I explained, and this document I created in 2017. So in this document, what I covered, like global market, US market, primary care doctors, nurses, hospital, SNAP, MD, etc., etc. Those are the competitors I have explained. The crux of this particular document, I gave these kind of graphs, like what is the market value of this particular product. So that time the market value was very low, but unfortunately we faced the COVID period. So in that COVID period, the market will increase almost 50x, 50 times. So again, so what I did in the whole document, I tell you that, okay, what type of competitor I analysis. So like Snap, that time these are the main competitors like Snap, MD, and those are the competitors which I give the history of that particular application and what type of compliances they have. So those all are things I implemented in this particular document, and this document has been delivered to my client, and then this document has been shared by his own stakeholders. So we have a meeting over there, we read that document, discuss it and freeze it, and then we decide, okay, this is what we have to do for this particular product. There are some other research document I shared over here, like this is for the market research. So in the market research, what I did, I found the, okay, how people think about in the US, like before buying a home for the rental or for the living for that particular area. So there are a lot of type of user empathy I define over there, found over here, like, okay, this is the psychology of a user to buy a home. So this is the journey of a home buyer. So why this journey is important? Because technology is important to make them a proper decision that okay, this particular home is good for me, it's good, it's near my office, it's near my child's school. So those are all our other parameters defined over here and given the proper research document to my client. So I must again tell you that UX and in UX analysis, this particular research is very important, guys. Otherwise, you cannot crack the user psychology. And important thing is, you will never know the culture of that particular country. So normally we know that okay, in India, normally we don't know that okay, because in India there are many type of cultures. So North India, South. I never visited South India, but whenever I have to develop the UX product for the South Indian market, I definitely visit over there because that is accessible for me. So those are the important points. And then we will go for the next level. Once the user research document has been written, then we have to focus on write a lovable MVP document on Google Docs. So Google Docs, I'm giving one example because there we can simply talk with we can collaborate with our client or our product manager and all, so everyone will be on that particular document, give their comments and all. So I personally recommend the Google Docs. So what is lovable MVP? MVP means minimum viable product. So minimum viable product is like Facebook is one of the example. Is I can explain you because everybody is using Facebook. So when Facebook launched in 2004 and now there is a big difference. So MVP document is with minimum feature, let's suppose 10 features. Can we launch those 10 features and crack the market? So that is called MVP document, minimum viable product. So this document is very important. Before even we do a lot of like high fidelity wireframing. But why this document is important? Because in this document we define that okay, this is our user and this is what we give the user task, or you can say this is what we're gonna develop. So let's suppose one example is okay, let's suppose in MVP document we have to define that okay, how a user will log in. So there are various kind of matters. User can log in from simply mobile number, they will get the OTP and log in. But in some countries, they want that okay, user can also log in from social media. User should also log in from the email. So those all the login gates we have to define in this MVP document. So there are so on various kind of feature where we should define actually. So design thinking can be described as a discipline that uses the designer sensibility and methods to match people's need with what is technologically feasible and what a viable product strategy can convert into customer value and market opportunity. So this particular document will also help you to make a value proposition of that particular product. So once that has been defined, for being a UX designer, his journey will be very easy. Why? Because he knows that he has to design that particular product, and these are the 10 features which on that particular on that 10 feature he has to focus on it. So again, I must tell you, very important this particular MVP document. So next I would like to explain you the wireframe. So for the wireframe, before start any kind of journey, personally in my studio, I tell my guys to create the user flow, because user flow is just like a heart of the whole application. So user flow example I gave you, that this is the patient user flow for the teledentic application. And in this user flow, I explained that okay, how the patient will flow in the whole application, how they will complete the appointment task. So in that whole user flow, and user flow, the tip of the user flow is user flow should be a closed circle user flow. So from login to log out, we have to define the whole user flow, whole user journey. So this is one of the example. And next thing is brainstorming with the client. So normally I use the Miro. Miro is a very smooth collaborative tool where we discuss with our client that okay, what type of problem we could face, or what type of feature we can give in that particular application. So Miro is like a very good collaborative tool. I would like to explain you. So after the user flow, normally I give normally I start with the you can say the paper prototyping. So paper prototyping, not this is very I took this picture from the internet, but this is very even you can start the paper prototyping with simple pen and pencil, you know. Take a plain notebook and start working on it. So each and every screen should be designed on the paper first, because once that has been finalized, it's very easy to convert that paper prototyping into the digital form. So very important, paper prototyping. Why? Because when you design the work on the paper, you are focusing on 100% on the paper, you know, and when you go with the physical terms, you can more think about that particular user flow. But because we are digital generation, so in the digital, the problem is normally I never use like XD for the prototyping. I personally use the Grt tool. This is very high fidelity tool and only built for the wireframing. So in the paper, again I will come back on the Grt again. So paper prototyping is very important. Normally I create more than 60 screens with a proper flow on the paper with proper detail. So this is one of the good example. So you can push your student to start wireframing on paper first. So paper first approach will always good. They will because when they will go with the paper approach, they have to silence their phone. They have to just open the application documentation in front of the system, and from there they have to create the whole journey of the application on the paper. So I must I always stress my team to first design even a single card on the paper first, then come back to me, and then I will approve it, and then you have to convert into the Grt. So Grt, now let's talk about the Grt. I will give you some example that what type of prototype we have been developing the Grt. So Grt is again a very smooth collaborative tool, and in Grt we created low and high fidelity both. So let me give you one example how it works. So this is the patient wireframe I'm explaining you. So in the patient wireframe, so this is the user flow which I discussed with you, and in this even if you click on any particular box, you can experience that particular screen. And why I love this particular tool, because in this wireframe is very important, not even for your client but also for the developer. This is actually a visual documentation for a developer, because you created the UX, I created the UX, let's suppose, but important thing is how developer will understand, because this particular process will help them to understand the whole user flow screen by screen. And you know, on this particular screen you are seeing that these blue stickies, so these blue stickies are actually the dev nodes. So I am explaining over here, after login user land on same page. So these blue sticky nodes only possible in the Grt. Very important for the developers to understand the whole flow. So again, let's suppose I go back on that per screen. So let's suppose I would like to see, okay, how the doctor profile will look like. So this is the doctor profile. From there I will click the slot, and simply I choose type of appointment, pay over there, next, approve the time, give my patient information, and boom. So this is, with this particular tool I also done the usability testing for before start the UI design. So if you will give this type of prototyping to your clients, definitely they will impress first of all, and they can easily understand, okay, what type of product we are gonna develop. But why wireframe? That is very important, because if in this wireframe, what we define, first we define the user flow, second we define the information design, and third we define the information architecture. So those all three important pillars of the product we define through the wireframing. But normally, my experience is with the Chitkara internship guy, they normally do the prototyping in Adobe XD or Figma. I must tell you guys, Figma and Adobe XD is good, but they cannot give you the high fidelity experience. And normally, prototyping should do in the black and white mode, because we never. I will tell you in this presentation for the next slide that how to define the colors and the whole design system. So wireframing is the important step, guys. So next, let's talk about the brand guideline document. So once the wireframe is finalized, I push my client to provide me the brand guideline document. So again, I would like to explain you the teledentics one, because this is very important, because whole presentation will go around this particular product. And I must tell you, this particular product has been used by the Facebook employees, Uber employees, Google, PayPal, and Nvidia. You name the big enterprise company in the US, they all are using this particular product. Why? I tell you, in US, when you join a company in IT sector, in HR have to give you the dental insurance. So in that particular dental insurance, you have to book 2 appointments in a year free of cost with the dentist. So this teledentics application is helping them, those particular employees, to book the appointment and take the HR benefits. So next, let's talk about the design system. So I opened the teledentics one. So in the design system, in the brand guideline document, what I define is the logo. So logo is very important because that is a brand mark, and with this particular logo, the whole brand strategy will work around it. So I when I explain you this brand guideline document in this guide, what I defined is the logo, how to use it, how to not use it, because these are the different products within the teledentics, and this is like incorrect use of logo. Then we have the color palette. So this is the primary one, the blue one, and second we have the secondary color palette. We define the typography, like what type of font we will use for the headings and paragraphs, etc. So this is a basic brand guideline document, which either we have to define being a UI UX designer, or we have to take from the client. I personally push, because normally without this particular definition, we never start the UI design. So next thing is iconography. Iconography, as you know that, this is like a visual language for the user. So in the iconography, this is also a part of the brand guideline document actually. So when I create the brand guideline document, I define the iconography. So I'm showing this Mantra app iconography, which is on my portfolio as well. So let me open it. So here I'm showing you some iconography examples, because this is the mood board I defined for this particular product. This is a meditation app and guided meditation from the mantras. So this is the style guide for this application, and now I'm showing you the iconography. So this is very close to the brand element, and in the iconography, important thing is that all icons should be in the same width, and the lining should be the same in all over the icons. So one of the example I would like to give you, because and good news is Google also launched the Material 3.0. So you see, they are also focusing on the iconography very much, because they are saying that you have to just focus on this. If you are seeing the animation, so the width, you can say the line width is very important for this whole particular iconography concept. So again, iconography is very important. Without it, and it should be defined in the brand guideline document. Next, design element is very important. Why I'm telling you these all design element before any giving the example of the UI design, because these are these will give you these all elements will elevate the whole experience, not even from the usability perspective or beautification perspective, but also from the accessibility perspective. So let's talk about the typography. So typography, normally we understand that okay, typography is just the fonts or the typefaces, right? It's true, but typography has a lot of other things, like okay, we should know about the kerning, tracking, line height. Those are very important element for the typography. So in the typography, let me give another example for the web or even for the mobile app. So these H1 tags are very important. So Google also recommend that okay, H1 tags should be used by easy to read font and with a proper sizing. So H1 tag is very important in the typography. Another thing is how we are using the typography for the alerts in the forms, or you can say, let's suppose if we are writing a paragraph under a heading, so what type of line height we have to define. Not even under the paragraph, but also paragraph itself should be a proper line height. So those all are the elements related to the typography which we have to take care during the UI design. Now I would like to explain you the most important thing, normally what we call it the design system. So design, why design system? Because design system is a proper language which should work in whole over the application. So in teledentics, we normally created like more than 1500 screens. So each and every screen, button, sizing, everything should be defined before start the UI design, adopting the brand guideline document. So let me give you the one example of the teledentics, because these screens should also depend on that. So this is the one example of the brand guideline document. Design system. So in this design system, what we define the button, over, line art, line buttons, other type of colors, like these are the active buttons, like let's suppose we say that okay, that task has been done. So we all normally give this particular button the green color. And these are the inactive buttons. So normally sometimes user did not completed the task, but user should know that okay, what is the next step. So next button will be only appear in active state once they will finish that particular task. So these are the disable button, and we have the define the particular iconography over here. Then we have the font family, what type of H1 tag and what type of size we have to define. So let's suppose this is the H1 tag for the title. So let's suppose if I go into the inspect, so over here you can see that okay, so this particular tag has 30 pixel. So these all H1, H2 tag we have to define the whole design system. So text colors, these are the batches. Then we have the toggle bar. Then we have the side menu. I will also give you the live example of the teledentics design system in the real time after this. Then we have the title bar. So those are these are the UI element, but we have to define the UI, how it look like, how it will work in the design system. Very important for the big enterprise applications. Otherwise, the experience from one screen to be another screen will be different if we will not follow this particular design system. And you know, the big companies, you name any company, Apple, Microsoft, you can say IBM, those all are companies, even Google, these all are companies are using the design system. Let me give you one example. I already gave you the material design. So material is using by the Google one, and carbon design principle design system is using by the IBM. So very important, guys, we have to take it very seriously about the design system, because if it is not defined properly, the application experience will not the seamless from one screen to another screen, as I already explained you. So this is the design system. these are the most like the famous one. So now come back to the Teledentics, and let me explain you the Teledentics UI. So now after the design system, my UI designer jump into the team. So this whole journey defined by the UX designer. And you know, normally it's in the market. The biggest myth is I completed the user persona, I completed the wireframe. Being a UX designer, my job is done. So this is the biggest myth in the market, guys, because if you don't have any sense about the colors, if you have no sense about the technology, you don't know about the technology, right? You cannot complete your whole circle of the UX, because end product is not a wireframe. End product is this, you know, which I'm gonna show you. So every UI UX designer should be, especially for the user researcher or the UX designer, should have knowledge about the design system, the creativity, and what end user will use your product. That is very important. So this is the Teledentics dashboard I'm showing you. So in this dashboard, I followed the same style guide which I shown you over here. So that particular style guide adopted here. So as you see that I defined the side menu should look like this, you see, and in real time it's look like the same. So this is the power of the design system. If you will open any screen in this particular application, the experience will be the same, as at least the visual experience. So the tabs and all other things are the remain same. So that is the power of the design system, guys. Next, I will explain you some more dashboards, because dashboard is very important. So let me click over here. So these are the heavy big data dashboards. So like Teledentics I already shown you. So this is one of the another dashboard which I created for the healthcare, for the patient journey, for the cancer patients. Then this is the dashboard for the tech product, fintech product, and this is the dashboard for HR product. So again, for these dashboard is only designed by the adopting the brand guideline and approved by the design system. So very important, guys. So next slide we will talk about the accessibility. Now why this accessibility is because in the world at least 1 in 5 people have long-term illness, impairment or disability. So what type of disability? Like someone have broken wrist, blue ear, bright sunlight, working in a quiet place with no headphones handy, and the most important, color blindness. This is very important topic which we have to take care during the user research actually. So we have to focus on that. Okay, not even the user research, but let's suppose if you are creating the UI design, you have to follow those accessibility points. So let me explain you the Microsoft how they are doing. So they introduced the inclusive one. So they said their accessibility system, they said inclusive. So in the inclusive, they created this whole methodology that how the disabled person should operate that particular system. So let me give you one example. Let's suppose if I have only one hand, right? So I am either I will use mouse or either I will use keyboard. So let's suppose if I'm using keyboard, so I will press on the tab button. So you see, so it's this particular tab bar came. So it's saying skip to main content. If I click over here, so it will take me to the top. So, and I'm doing everything from the actually from the keyboard. I'm not using the mouse. So if I click on the tab again, it will take me to the another section. It will take me to the another section with the tab. So these all our strategies are very important, and there are already created the rules for the accessibility. Like when a UI designer will create the UI, they have to define the alt tag for that particular button, so that if let's suppose I cannot see the screen, but I can listen, right? So there are in Chrome predefined extension are already developed. With the help of that, I can understand the whole page. So that is very important, guys, for related to the accessibility. We have, and user experience, we normally think that okay, we are creating a user experience for that particular age of group, but in that particular age of group, accessibility is more important than that, because we are entertaining it. Let's suppose your product is for a physical challenged person, we have to take care of that on the topmost. So again, I mean, everything operating from that. And if I will share that particular presentation with you guys, so from there you can view those videos and understand the importance of the accessibility. Very important, guys. And next thing is there are guideline has been followed by each and every UIUX designer. So let me give one example over here. So this is the guideline. So audio only, video only, how to define that. So those all our parameters have been defined over here. And if you are creating the UI according to the accessibility guideline, client will always love this suggestion, I must tell you, because they will understand, okay, that how much we are taking of that particular product. And being a UX designer, you are almost a product owner, almost a product owner, because you have to think like a, not even for as a user, but also a stakeholder mind. At the end of the day, we not even please the people or the user of that particular application, but also we have to please the business owner. So this is the 50-50 chances. So accessibility, very important. Next, let's talk about the usability testing. I don't know, I mean, how much knowledge for that particular thing, but I must tell that okay, 5 user at least we have to test on the daily basis, 5 usability testing. What does that mean? That okay, let's suppose I created a flow, so I have to invite at least well, daily I cannot give the 5 user, at least 1 or 2 user on that particular flow who are very much new about on that particular task and can perform accordingly, because this particular exercise will help and always elevate the UX, in that terms of the accessibility and the usability. So over here, for big advantages of the usability testing, one is the save thousands of hours, second, save thousands of dollars, obviously, and third is validate and adjust features based on hard data. Because when you perform the usability test, sometimes we being a UX designer, I thought okay, this is very easy for the user, but how the user will use that particular product, sometimes it will surprise you. So that's why I'm saying that is a hard data. So then fourth is ensure your product will succeed before going to market. So these all are the 4 parameters, very important. So let me explain you some reports which we have done in our studio. Before pandemic, this particular case study I have made related to the usability testing. So this is, I'm just showing you the report that we invited the 5 users in our usability testing lab. One moderator was there, I was there, and then we gave the task to them. So this is the report which we generated. So in this particular report in our company, not even we explain the problem, but also we try to give the solution of that particular problem in the usability testing. So like you can see on the left side, the problem is like pricing table is not very much intuitive, but on the right side we defined okay, this is your price table should be. So this is one of the examples. So there are like 3-4 points I explain in each and every screen that how it should like work your application, and client admire it and give it give that particular usability testing data and this study to their developers, and that they implemented it. So this is one of the example. But during pandemic, the problem is we cannot invite the user in our usability testing. But for that, what we did remote usability testing. So we invite the user. So this is the one application that is called Credello. So in this application, you can find best credit card with proper benefits, like okay, what type of cashback they are giving. So for this particular module, this particular case study I would like to share with you. This is related to the remote. So in this case study, what we created the test scenarios.
All right,
And
please read
in
the
this test scenario,
Remember
you
to
can
speak your thoughts out loud.
You can see that how the user is reading that particular test scenario and performing accordingly. So let me forward it a little bit. So they are understanding the whole test scenario. So now they jump into the screen and now they are performing. So over here, not even we are recording the screen, but also they are speaking actually. So right now I turn down the volume, but they are speaking actually, so that we can understand their psychology, their problems. So we tell our users, whatever you feel, just speak, so that we can understand as a moderator. So very important during this particular case study related to the remote testing. So this is the related to the remote testing. Let's jump into the A/B testing. So A/B testing is like, and why we should do the A/B testing? Very important question, because if normally we buy the A/B testing data from various kind of agencies in our studio, and what that data give us the insight that we will not do the same mistake which other designer already did. So we learn from the A/B testing and implement those metrics in our UI or UX, you can say. So this is very important, and normally A/B testing will always help you to improvise the whole user experience, not even the user experience, but also improve the optimization of the particular page or screen in terms of the conversion. So normally A/B testing is very important when we are taking the sign up forms, when we are going for e-commerce, So those data we buy, we collect, we understand, we see the data, and we share with our designers, so that they don't do the mistakes after reviewing the whole usability test A/B testing data. So very important. So that's it from my side, and thank you for joining this particular workshop. So now it's time to take the questions. Over to you, Sandeep. So guys, you can ask the question one by one if you have any.
Thank you, Principal Sir.
You're welcome, Shifali.
It's been very nice to listen to you. Just wait. I just want to have one thing to ask from you, like what is more important according to you, usability or accessibility, or like we should be focusing on both?
Actually, we should focus on both. Why? Because accessibility will increase your usability.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we should be focusing on both simultaneously, or like accessibility should always we should always give a little bit a kind of more towards accessibility?
So basically, first you have to understand the international accessibility guidelines, right? So that let's suppose one example. Let's suppose I am using a mobile app and suddenly my internet broken, right? So so a pop-up should come that okay, you have no internet connection, right? So that I will stop using that particular application just because I know that okay, internet is, I'm not in the internet zone. But if we are not showing that particular pop-up, I will but user will understand that okay, there is some bug in the particular application, So accessibility should be implemented not even during the UX, but also during the development is very important. So if we are, in our company, what we did, we created like 30 to 50 guidelines, which is almost adoptable in every web application as well as in the mobile application. So that has been followed by the not even the UX designer, but also for the developers. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Principal, sir, there's one more thing. Do you have any kind of a file, a kind of any document in which some very like important points related to design system would be mentioned? Any sort of kind of a shortcut document that you have made, like let's say if we are designing a screen, let's say mobile screen we are designing, so how much like from external to internal space we are like how much padding area should be there, like what sort of spacing we should be keeping, so those kind of a shortcut tricks, any sort of document if you would be having with you.
So basically, you don't need for that particular any document for that. I will give you one tool that is called Grt Calculator. Okay, so just note it down. Grt Calculator.
Grt Calculator.
Grt, Golden Ratio Typography Calculator.
Okay.
So just type on Google what is golden ratio, you will understand. So let's suppose if I select a font over here, my favorite font Roboto, so let me choose that one. So I selected Roboto. So let's suppose headline font have 60 pixel, right? And content width, let's suppose we have to define 800 pixel. So it's click on the show me GRT. So now it's give you the whole line height and all, So this will give you the insights that okay, what type of H1 tag we have to define, what type of line height we have to define in that particular scenario. So let's suppose your paragraph is like 18 pixel.
Principal sir, could you share your screen please?
Oh, sorry. Let me share again. I thought I was sharing. Okay. So this is the Grt calculator.
Okay.
So you have to just select the font and the size and the content width and click on this button. So this will give you that okay, this is your font, this is size, so line height should be 32.
Great.
So this will really help you to construct the whole UI. Yeah. So website name is Grt Calculator.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
It's a very important resource.
Yes, it is. So let me share in the chat as well. Yeah.
Sir, if we would be sharing our students, one or two very good students portfolio with you, like would you be able to suggest like what could be a more better thing whereby we would be able to improve to get them placed in some good companies?
Yeah, definitely. Just share it with me.
Okay.
I will look into it and definitely will help you.
Sure, sir. Just give me a minute.
And in this whole conversation, I forgot one thing. So, and the people who left the conversation, they will miss it. So, let me share one more important thing. Because normally what I understood, with my experience with the Chatkara internship guys, normally their teacher teaches the whole course with the slides. So, I personally recommend you guys to follow a book. So 1 minute, let me. So in my bookshelf, I would like to recommend you a few books. Like this is one of my favorite book. So not my favorite book, like it's written by someone else, but very good book that is related to where is the design. So let me show you. So the book name is Element of User Experience. Because book will always give you insight of that particular subject. So this is very good book. You must suggest to your students to read that particular book. And one another book I would like to share with you. This one. Basically, this book is for the startup guys, but at least every UX designer should know the ecosystem of the development, and at least they should know that okay, what type of team involvement required for that particular product development or the product launch. So this book is very good book, you must read, guys. Okay, next question, if you have guys any. Okay, I received those two dribbles link. Let me note it down.
Prince sir, even though I'm not in this field, I'm into 3D animation area.
Okay.
But I always have this query, because if I see myself as a user, that like companies like US companies say that we care for users and we are building products for users. But I heard somewhere an article that company is not building a application for the user; they are building actually for their own convenience to make profits. Just one example that I heard, that, for example, they do not want the user to click on some cross button. So they will put it very much far from from that particular label, or they will try different ways to hide it, or at least make less visible.
Yes.
So is it true, or that article was not entirely correct?
Actually, it's true. I tell you one example why people do that, or why UX designer do that. Because in the session I explained that okay, being a UX designer, you have to behave like a user, or think like a user. Also think like a product owner. So none of the product owner want that people easily log out, from their application. So we hide that.
Very true. Very true. Yes.
So
yes,
we
yes.
give that lower priority to that particular user. So definitely it's important for a great user experience.
Actually, everything works for the company profitability rather than user profitability.
Yes. But you're saying that okay, if let's suppose pop-up comes out, right, and if there is no cross button, that is wrong. Or otherwise user will confuse that okay, and normally user have a lot of options on this internet world, they will simply jump into another product.
Yes,
So
they'll simply close this app itself.
exactly, they have more options.
Very true, very true.
Yeah.
And sir, I remember that in a CAB meeting you were saying that I would like to share some books with us on UIUX. So I think Monica ma'am was coordinating with you about that also. So if you have some list of like online e-resources, you can put it here. So at least it will be somewhat useful for our colleagues in UX.
Yeah, actually, 5 minutes before I shared two books. One is the Element of the Design, and second is Inspired. And those two books are very important for your students and for your faculties, because being a faculty or a student, we have to understand the whole ecosystem of that particular application development, right? So these two applications will help you to understand those important things, because normally UIUX designer think that okay, my job has been done, I design the UI, my job has been done, but it's not like that. So my job start actually after the UI design. So what developer is facing in terms of technology, I have to interrogate, I have to fix that, I have to provide the solution, I have to discuss with my client, right? And second thing is, once that product has been launched, I have to test on the usability perspective. So I have to perform the usability testing, right? And also suggest the post-launch changes. Very important. And not even that, once the product has been marketing on various kind of platforms, on social media, on Google, I personally study those data as well, those metrics as well. Like okay, from which city the user is coming, from which city the conversion has been coming, so that we can, let's suppose that if conversion is coming from the South India and from that particular state, if my application is not in that particular language, it's not useful for them, right? So I have to suggest to my client, okay, let's launch another version in the Tamil as well, because we are getting the traffic from Tamil Nadu. So that is very important. So UX is less like a product owner, I must tell you. So the whole success of the product in a UIUX designer, and so you have to think like a product owner and
Very
not
true.
even the
Very
project
true.
manager or product manager, product owner.
Sir, I have heard like I'm not sure that it's a verified thing. I've heard that WhatsApp is used, WhatsApp data is used to sell sell it to the businesses so that they know what product they want in their areas.
Hmm.
If there are enough restaurants, one particular brand, or
Hmm.
let's say enough malls for one particular brand. Let's say lifestyle is not there in some area, so they might be talking like I want to buy some clothes. So if it is good, if it is like all this data, user data is being somehow is being given to companies to to make their business profits and put their products on the areas where it is not available. So what do you think is about this?
It's true, bluntly true. Why?
Okay.
Because WhatsApp is not charging you. They are giving
True.
you free service for the
You are the
messaging.
product. You are the product for that.
Yeah, and definitely, and normally when we join the WhatsApp, we don't read the 30 pages privacy policy document. We don't have any time, so they take the benefit of it, and they sell the data.
Great, great. One last thing from my side is if
Mm-hmm.
somebody is willing to redirect the career, for example, somebody is in the gaming,
Mm-hmm.
somebody's in let's say in 3D animation or let's say 3D modeling area.
Mm-hmm.
So if they want to jump into the area of UX, especially UX,
Mm-hmm.
not the UI area, UX. So what do you think? Where you would advise the person to start with a
See,
case studies or something? Yeah.
I personally recommend them to go in the interaction design because that is very hot, guys.
Okay.
Why? Because app opening with a simple interaction, okay, everybody is doing, but with animation, that is the next edge. So that is the next level of experience. Nowadays, companies are focusing on that.
Mm-hmm.
So interaction design is a good field for them.
Okay, so they will be able to create some interaction. So it will be like more interesting to the users.
Yes,
You
yes,
mean to say?
because nowadays people love the smooth experience, So data we can call from the API, that's not a problem. But how we are interacting with or engaging with that particular interface, that is very much important. And interaction designer really help in that particular area.
So it is like UX built on UI for interactions, right?
Actually, interaction comes once the UI will finalize.
Okay,
So
okay. After
interaction
that,
is just like okay, card is coming. Card is coming some simply like this, but some card is just some simply coming like this.
very true,
So the
very true.
animation. So
Very
animation guy.
very simple, very simple example of that can be a cred app.
Yes,
How the
yes, example.
how the card is. I have heard, I have seen actually
Yes,
the cred is one of the very good UI and UX
yes,
uh,
indeed, it
thing.
is.
Right, right.
Yeah,
So
and
so
then
so it is interaction, but it is part of UX.
yes, it is.
Okay,
It is
okay,
actually an essential part of UX because
okay, okay.
UX is not just the wireframes. As I
Mm-hmm.
told you that okay, UX designer journey will never complete actually. So
True, sir.
interaction will when you are opening the any particular application, how they were presenting you the information on that particular area, that is more important. So the CRAD
True,
is
sir.
doing a very good job in that, and that's why they got the $1 million funding.
Right, right. Kunal Shah, right?
Yes,
Kunal
exactly.
Shah is the
Yeah.
person.
Yes.
Yeah. So, friends, anyone have any more questions? If you have any questions,
Ask
then we
questions,
can
guys.
ask questions. That's the right question is the right answer.
Yes, yes.
So, if you have no question, then I think can we wind up because his
Sure.
time is already up.
Yeah.
He has reserved for us. I think this is the time which is, I would say, it's a penny time, which
Mm-hmm.
is very, very less to kind of interactions
Yeah.
need to be followed up with this. So I hope to see you, sir, next time. If you get time, definitely please
I would love to help you guys. No
interact
issue.
because
No issue.
this is how the thing should proceed, I would say.
Sure,
So
sure.
I think no one else is having any other questions.
Sandeep
So
sir,
Shivali, ma'am, yeah, yeah.
before winding up the session, Principal sir, it's my humble request. Could you please have a look on the portfolio of one or two?
Yeah. I noted down in my sticky. I will definitely look into it. And to whom I discuss that portfolio, like.
Sandeep sir, not a
Okay.
problem. Like you can
Okay.
discuss the same thing.
Okay.
with
Okay.
him.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I would be putting, sir. I will putting my mail ID in this,
Sure.
so you can definitely get back to me.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you guys for giving me the time and listening me.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, take care guys.
Yeah.
Bye. Enjoy the day.